I'm British and a lord.
Woo! Welcome back to Wessin The World. I'm Wes. I'm currently in your world, just making videos, just banging them out because they're just questions and answers that I've assessed in my own mind and then relaying them back to you for your own thoughts. Please comment in the comment section if you do have thoughts on this subject. But the subject of today is I feel like I'm stuck. So there was an Instagram video for Gary V. If you want to check out Gary V, obviously you will probably already know him. He's massive. He's an incredible business speaker for people that are sort of starting off smaller businesses and having trouble sort of getting it off the ground. He's a really interesting, very inspiring person to follow. But there was a question in one of his videos where he was posed the question, do you ever get stuck? And this was off the back of her talking about how she's in her business is doing really well and her personal journey is really good, but she feels like she's limited in her learning. He he told her to go onto Google and type in what she's stuck on, and a bunch of information will come back to you. This is obviously a simplistic idea because we all know what Google is. It's just the fact that we identify with too many things. And I say this in my previous videos, we do identify with a lot of stuff. We identify with our pain, we identify with our trauma, we identify with everything, and it plays a very heavy role in how we act in the world, because that's playing on our mind that we are the kind of person that experienced this trauma, so they act as though they are that person, but obviously not knowing that the rest is also available to them as well. I'm lucky in the fact that, like, I did experience trauma when I was younger, but not trauma to the point where I identified with it. Great. I grew up incredibly agnostic, I suppose. Not sort of picking a faith, and I was sort of picking a belief structure, and it was very good because as I got older, I got to sort of collect everything together into and remove all of the things that don't contribute towards this universal idea of the world and the universe I'm currently in, and it factors in massively in my calm when introducing myself to new people, because I know that all I have to be is, I suppose, myself, but really what I'm doing is I'm reading them, because that's what you have to do when you first meet someone. You don't talk to two people the same. It doesn't mean that you've changed who you are. It's still your opinions and it's still your passions that you're speaking on. I'm not speaking about that. It's basically you change your personality to suit that person. If that person's talking at a specific volume, you will adjust to that volume. Someone's speaking a particular dialect and you're quite good in that dialect, you may naturally start to travel towards that dialect in order to communicate with them better. It's just something that we naturally do. But getting it back to the Gary V question, I feel like I'm stuck and I feel like my learning is limited. I don't feel like I can go any further. Now, his response to was, this woman said to him, do you ever feel stuck? And she responded, he responded and said, no, I never feel stuck. And this is like a reference to sitting in a room with two doors and worrying about going in either door. And we spend a great deal of our time in this Netflix title screen wondering what to watch because the options are so great. And if you pick the wrong one, then you're going to hate yourself for it. But his answer to do you ever feel stuck was, I don't judge myself. I don't ever feel stuck because I don't judge myself. If I make a pick and the pick was right, then I'm right. Great. If I make a selection of a movie on Netflix and it's terrible, I learn from that experience. I don't judge myself for making that experience. And I think this is what a lot of people do. We identify with our choices, and we shouldn't do that. We should just be an awareness in the world, making choices and seeing what happens, trying things out, not being afraid to try, not being afraid to take that step into the void. And let's see what can happen if you're sort of in your house with quarantine, or if you've got a regular day job, 9 to 5 every week, and you've gotten very comfortable. You've gotten very comfortable in the left side of your brain, which is the explored territory area of the brain, the region of the brain. That hemisphere is completely dedicated to logic, and it's dedicated to what makes sense. It's dedicated to mathematics, and there is a single answer. There is everything within the left side of the brain makes sense to the brain, and that's very comforting. And that's where we're orienting our brain when we get comfortable. But what we need to do is spend a little bit more time on the right, the crazy side of town, the creative side of town, the side of town that just makes the answer up. Pretty much sort of the stuff that I'm doing right now. Just sort of take something in and then just accumulate it together with my collective knowledge and then just go, well, maybe it's this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I'm right. And what it makes it really interesting is that where I'm speaking from, in my mind right now, will translate to you perfectly. And if it feels like the truth, then take it as the truth. It resonated with you when I said it, and just believe that you're an awareness in the world, and that your accidents and your mistakes will not be held against you if you had no prior knowledge of what might come. Trust me, I've made plenty of mistakes, but I've also had plenty of victories. And that balance between the two has put me in a position where I'm able to make these videos, put them out into the internet, and have the people that need to get this information get this information. Because the brain is a very simple organ if you have a framework for understanding it. And when you do judge yourself, you know that you're judging yourself, and it's unnecessary to do so. Because that doesn't do anything. You can only learn from what you've done wrong. And then the separate from that is the judgment of yourself. And that is just a mutated version of what you use to judge other people to determine if they're dangerous. It's just a judgmental quarter. And you can dial it back, and you can stop it judging from your internal self, and we can be a lot happier. We just need to know how all of this works. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been Wes, and I've been in your world. Don't stress. Stay blessed. You never know what's next, and it's exciting. It's not scary. Pew. Trees. Nice.